Hi everyone, this video is a continuation from yesterday's lesson of 3.1 Part 1. Today we're working on Lesson 3.1 Part 2. So we're still looking at how we can set up ratios and proportions and determine their proportionality. If 3 ringtones cost $9 and the cost of 2 ringtones is $6, how can you set up a proportion to compare the two ratios? Use the graphic organizer below to set up your proportion. So we call this a starter ratio, where you're looking at the units first before inserting any numbers. So when it says insert unit 1, you're going to look at the first unit that you're talking about. The first unit is the ringtones. So on the top, I'm going to write ringtones. Then unit 2 would be the cost, or dollars. So I'm going to put cost on the bottom. So we're comparing the ringtones to the cost. Okay? So now, if 3 ringtones, so I know 3 is going to go on the top with the ringtones, cost $9, 9 would go in the denominator because that's where the cost is. And the cost of 2 ringtones, so again, my starter ratio, which is the units, helps me figure out where my numbers are going to go, is $6, which is going to go in the denominator. So that's how I can set up a proportion. Remember, the starter ratio is very important, so you always want to set up your units first before looking at the actual numbers. How can you determine if 3/5 and 5/12 are proportional? Well, there are 2 methods. So method 1 is to compare the ratios in simplest form. So if I look at 3/5 and 5/12, both of them are already in simplest form. And because they're not equivalent, I know that there's no way they can be proportional. The other method is method 2, which is using the cross products. So 3/5 is equal to 5/12. Well, if I cross multiply, 5 times 5 is 25. 3 times 12 is 36, and 36 is not equal to 25, so the ratios are not proportional. Determine if the following ratios are proportional using 2 strategies. So if I look at these, again, there's 2 things that I can do. I can simplify the fractions, so 3/9 would reduce to 1/3. 5/15 would reduce to 1/3. That's one strategy. Or I can cross multiply. 9 times 5 is 45. 3 times 15 is 45. 45 is equal to 45, so yes, the ratios are proportional. If I look at number 4, 3/6 reduces to 1/2. 4/12 reduces to 1/3. Therefore, when they're simplified, the fractions are not equivalent, so they cannot be proportional. I can also cross multiply. 6 times 4 is 24. 3 times 12 is 36. 36 is not equal to 24, so they are not proportional. And if I look at the last one, 9/36 reduces to 1/4. And 15/30 reduces to 1/2. So I know that again, these 2 ratios cannot be proportional. If I cross multiply, 9 times 30 is 270, and 36 times 15 is 540, so these are not proportional. Let's look at this word problem. You read the first 40 pages of a book in 50 minutes. You read 20 pages in 25 minutes. Is the number of pages read proportional to your time? So again, remember to set up that starter ratio. We're comparing pages over minutes. So now that I have my starter ratio, I can start filling in the numbers. 40 pages in 50 minutes, And my second ratio would be 20 pages in 25 minutes. So now again, two ways you can do this. You can simplify the fractions. So 40 over 50 reduces to 4/5. 20 over 25 reduces to 4/5. So I know that when these two fractions are simplified, they are equivalent. Again, I can cross multiply. 50 times 20 is 1,000. And 40 times 25 is also 1,000. So because these two numbers equal each other, yes, the number of pages read is proportional to your time. Write three ratios that are equivalent to 2/5. So now if we have the fraction 2/5, I can multiply the numerator and the denominator by the same number to give me equivalent ratios. So for example, if I took 2/5 and times by 3, I would get 6 over 15. I can do the same thing and times by 4, and I would get 8 over 20. I can take 2/5 again and times by 5, and I would get 10 over 25. So here are three ratios that are equivalent to 2/5. Which ratio does not belong? So now I can look at these fractions and start to simplify. 6/9 I can simplify to 2/3. 12 over 15 reduces to 4/5. 14 over 21 reduces to 2/3, and 2/3 is 2/3. So the ratio that does not belong would be 12 over 15. It is the only one that's different from the rest. And if we look at this last one, it says the ratio of girls to boys in a class is 3:5. So I'm going to put a G to represent the girls and a B to represent the boys. So for every 3 girls, there are 5 boys. How many girls are there if there are 25 students in the class? So now this is talking about the total number of students. So our ratio is comparing girls to boys. We cannot compare girls to boys, girls to total. Those are 3 different units. So because we have the total, I'm going to write a starter ratio that compares girls over the total. Now, in this ratio, I know that there are 3 girls and 5 boys, which means there's a total of 8 students. So even though the problem doesn't directly tell me the total, I can figure it out. Therefore, for every 3 girls, there are 8 total students. Now it's asking how many girls are there, and since I don't know how many girls there are out of 25 students, I'm going to put an X, and the total will go on the bottom. Now I need to solve this proportion. So I'm going to solve by using cross multiplication. 8 times X is 8X. 3 times 25 is 75. And now I have a one-step equation. I divide both sides by 8, and I get X is equal to 9.375. And since you can't have a fraction of a student, we can just say that there are about 9 girls in a class of 25 students.